Welcome to Between Worlds. I'm Boa, and this is a place where stories live. Stories that make you feel, wonder, or drift into your imagination. It's called Between Worlds because that's exactly where we'll go together. Between reality and dreams, everyday life and adventure. Moments that inspire, scare, or simply help you relax. From real-life experiences, creative short films and travel adventures, to bedtime stories and tales that help you unwind. This channel shares them all. The voice you hear is completely human, and the art, photographs and visuals are made by humans whenever possible. That's the way it should be. Things I believe AI will never truly replicate. After all, humans need real, and nothing beats a real human voice telling a story. If you enjoy what you hear and see, subscribe and step between worlds with me. Let's begin. The whistling between the pines. Ellie had walked trails like this his entire life. Forests were never something he feared. They were quiet places, honest places. Out here there were no traffic lights, no crowded trains, no glowing screens demanding attention. Just trees. He had started hiking that afternoon on a trail that locals had casually recommended. Nothing serious, they said. Just a few miles through the pine forest and a small ridge overlooking the valley. Easy. But somewhere along the way, the trail had changed. At first, Ellie didn't notice. The path simply grew narrower. Pine needles thickened under his boots, soft and silent. The wooden trail markers stopped appearing. Then the path simply ended. Ellie stopped walking and turned in a slow circle. Tall pines surrounded him in every direction. Their trunks rose straight and endless, disappearing into a dim green canopy that swallowed the last pieces of sunlight. The air felt colder here. He pulled out his phone. No signal, of course. He sighed and slipped it back into his pocket. "No problem," he muttered. "Just retrace your steps." That was when he realized something else. The forest was completely silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Just the faint creaking of trees swaying somewhere high above. Then he heard it. A whistle. Soft, clear, 2 notes drifting through the trees. Ellie froze. Someone else must be out here. "Hello?" he called. No answer. The whistle came again. Short, curious, almost playful. It sounded like it came from behind him. Ellie turned quickly. Nothing. Just rows of pine trees stretching into the fading blue mist. "Hey!" he shouted. Still nothing. The whistle came again. This time, closer. Ellie frowned. Someone had to be messing with him. Without thinking, he answered. He gave a quick whistle back, sharp. The sound cut through the forest, and then silence. Total silence. Even the wind stopped. Ellie waited. A few seconds passed, then 10, then 20. He was about to laugh at himself when the forest answered. A whistle echoed somewhere to his left, then another to his right, then one directly behind him. Ellie slowly turned. The whistles multiplied. Dozens of them, all repeating the exact same sound he had made, identical, perfect. As if the forest itself had learned his voice. The hairs on the back of his neck lifted. "Okay," he whispered. Something moved between the trees. At first he thought it was shadows shifting in the fading light. Then one of the shapes stepped forward. Tall, too tall. Its body looked wrong somehow, stretching thin like a human shape pulled upwards by invisible strings. Its arms hung far too long, almost reaching the ground, and its head tilted slightly as if listening. Another shape appeared beside it, then another, and another. They moved silently between the trees, stepping carefully through the forest like curious animals observing something strange. "Ellie." He stepped backward. A twig snapped beneath his foot. A twig snapped beneath his boot. Every whistle stopped instantly. Every whistle stopped instantly. The figures froze. One of them tilted its head further. Then it whistled. 2 notes. Perfectly matching Ellie's earlier call. His stomach dropped. They weren't copying random sounds. They were copying him. Another one whistled. Then another. The sounds surrounded him now. Dozens of voices echoing through the trees, all using his whistle. Ellie turned and began walking quickly. Not running, not yet, just walking. But the forest felt different now. The trees seemed closer together, the shadows thicker. Behind him the whistles continued, slow, patient, following. He tried to ignore them. Tried to convince himself that this had some normal explanation. But then he heard footsteps. Not just one pair, many. Soft and careful, matching his pace, just beyond the trees, Ellie walked faster. The footsteps did the same. His breathing grew heavier. "Stop," he whispered. The whistles stopped instantly. The footsteps stopped too. The silence returned. He slowly turned around. The figures stood between the trees again. Closer now. He could see them clearly. Their faces looked almost human. Almost. But their skin was pale like fog. Their eyes too wide. Their mouths curved slightly upward in something that might have been curiosity. One stepped forward. Its limbs moved slowly, bending in ways that felt wrong to look at. Then it whistled again. 2 notes. Perfect. But this time something else followed the whistle. A voice. Soft, broken. "Hello?" Ellie's blood ran cold. It was his voice. The creature tried again. Hello? The others watched, learning, listening. Another stepped forward. Hello? Then another. Soon dozens of voices whispered from the trees, all of them using Ellie's voice, calling to him, testing the sound, practicing. Ellie turned and ran. Branches whipped across his face as he crashed through the forest. Behind him, the whistles exploded into noise. Dozens, hundreds. The footsteps followed, fast now, very fast. Something long and pale moved through the trees beside him, keeping pace effortlessly. Ellie ran harder. The ground sloped downwards suddenly, and he nearly fell. Then he saw it. The trail. The real trail, just ahead. Sunlight glowed faintly beyond the tree line. He sprinted toward it. The whistles behind him grew frantic, angry, hungry. Hands brushed the back of his jacket, and then Ellie burst out into the open trail. The forest behind him fell silent. He collapsed onto the dirt path, gasping for air. For several minutes he couldn't move. Eventually he forced himself to look back. The pine forest stood still and dark. Empty. No figures. No whistles. Nothing. Just trees. Ellie stood slowly. He walked back toward the parking lot without looking behind him again. He walked back toward the parking lot without looking behind him again. But long after he left the forest, one thought refused to leave his mind. When he had stepped out of the trees, the whistles hadn't sounded disappointed. They had sounded excited, as if they had finally learned something important, something useful. And somewhere deep in the forest, something practiced speaking in Ellie's voice.